Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great read on the outlook and predictions that Mr. Adams has about what's going to happen here in the United States due to all of the things that's going on now geopolitically, internally, economically, with the food crisis and all of that kind of stuff. But first I wanted to take a minute to introduce myself real quickly to all of our new community members. We've gained a lot of new, I like to call you all community members instead of subscribers, but I'll go ahead and use subscribers in this case. We've gained a lot of new subscribers to the Alaska Prepper community here over the last month or so, and I wanted to welcome you and say thank you very much for joining. I wanted to go ahead and introduce myself real quick and just to let you know my name is Rudy, also known as Alaska Prepper, and these are some of the things that I try to do on this platform that you have allowed me to voice my opinions, concerns, and things that I try to show you that I do. Everything that you see me do, ladies and gentlemen, are things that I am doing actively to prepare. So if you see me do something, it's not because I need it to do a video to put out content, but because I'm doing it and sharing with you. So there may be weeks where you may see that I don't put up like a prepping video per se every single day where I show you that I'm doing this or that, because I'm just not doing it in my personal life. But those things that I do in my personal life to prepare for myself and my family, I do share with you. Why? Because information, ladies and gentlemen, is knowledge. And although I may do things a little different than how you may do them, it may give you ideas on things that maybe you didn't think about. And I am also a beneficiary of your ideas when you leave them in the comments. So please use that comment section, because it's not only I that benefit from it, but also everyone else that reads the comments can benefit from any ideas that you may have. So I encourage you to go ahead and leave a comment whenever you have something that you want to share with the community. I like to do things that are proactive in what's coming up in the future instead of what's happening right now. So a lot of times you'll see me read an article or talk about something that I think is going to happen in the future. For example, I did a video here, I think it was early this weekend or last Friday, where I talked about what the implications of Russia shutting down gas going into Europe or the EU and Germany would be. And one of those things I said would be very high inflation. And no doubt, last night I did a special video that I came out to the bunker and rushed over here to put up, showing that overnight inflation in the prices of foodstuff in Germany is going to go up anywhere between 20 to 50% overnight. So I like to do videos like that. I like to do videos that would maybe open the minds or open the eyes of people that maybe are not on the preparedness bandwagon yet, in order to encourage them to prepare. I also came up with something called Payday Preps, where I do videos showing you what I'm preparing on paydays. Now, I'm technically retired from the workforce, so for me, payday is pretty much any time that I want to go out and get something. But I share that with you. Why? Not to show you what I got and show off, but to give you ideas, to encourage you, to allow you to see that if you take a little bit of money out of every one of your paydays and you put it towards something that you can prepare with for when hard times arise, that you can do it no matter what budget you're on. And I also love to do videos on things like this, on articles that I find that could be helpful in waking people up, that could be helpful in maybe giving you ideas to prepare for what's coming in the future, and also to encourage people to do something. Because sometimes I may go over an article or something that sounds kind of scary to the average person out there that has just been living their lives with their eyes wide shut, meaning that they're just living their everyday lives thinking that everything's okay and not really being in the know as to what's going on in the world and specifically in their particular country. So I like to do videos like that, that maybe sometimes to some people is a little bit of a shock, but that little bit of a shock may be all it takes to wake you up to the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that it is you and only you that you can count on to take care of yourselves and your families if something ever really bad happens, or even if you just lose your job. Wouldn't it be nice for you to have a 6-month supply, a 1-year supply of sustenance in your pantry? that can see you through a job loss and carry you through until you get another job to regain that income that you had before. All right, so again, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for joining our communities. We have a live stream here every Friday at 2 p.m. Alaska time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we also have a live stream every Sunday at 9 a.m. Alaska time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And the first Sunday of every month, I have an after party video or an after party live stream for my Patreon and members and club members. So that you can join in and ask any questions that maybe I was not able to answer during the regular live streams. So let's go ahead and dig into this. I hate the word doomsday preppers. I hate that word because I don't prep for doomsday. I don't prep for the end of the world. I prep for my family. And that's what I prep for, ladies and gentlemen. So doomsday preppers, I'm not with it, but it's part of this title, and it says here, Doomsday Preppers warn of hard times ahead as preparedness goes mainstream. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think that preparedness going mainstream is a great thing. I've always stood by that. The more people in our nation, and in whatever nation or country you're from, the more people that are prepared, the better it is for that country. The better it is for the population, i.e. we the people. Because it is we the people that build up our country, that make our country what it is. It's not governments. And therefore, it shouldn't be up to governments to be prepared for us. It should be up to us to be prepared for ourselves and our families. Now, this article comes from the Epoch Times, and it states that food scarcity, food vouchers, and food riots and flash mobs are coming, ladies and gentlemen. And when you hear the word food vouchers, I hear the word rationing. That is why it is pertinent that you prepare as much as you can, as soon as you can. But remember that slow and steady wins the race. Even if you only prepare a pound or two of pasta or a pound or two of rice a week or per payday, after a year, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have a lot of sustenance that can get you through a crisis. I always state, buy what you eat and eat what you buy first and foremost until you have a good 3, 6, maybe even 12-month supply of food in your pantry. And here Mr. Adams says that all of that is coming and soon, who sees dire events unfolding in America in the short term. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can't see this now, then you really need to open your eyes. All right. If you can't see that we are going to be having problems with our food, with our supply system as we are having problems now, with our currency being devalued, making the price of food and the things that you need go up higher and higher, just like happened in Germany. It's happening here already, but it will accelerate. And Mr. Adams advises that the thing to really watch for is food inflation. And we've been talking about that here on this platform for years, talking about how the price of food has only one way to go, and that is up. He says that his position is we are going to see food riots in America before the end of this year. We are going to see flash mobs in grocery stores, especially for meat products. As you all know, one of the things that has been inflating in price the most at the grocery store are meat products, and I would also say oil products, like cooking oils, olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil. Those have all gone up an awful lot here in the last several months. He says that grocery stores are going to respond with increased security and checkpoints. At some point, we're probably going to see an attempt at price controls and rationing. I've been warning about that for a while, that when we see the mainstream media and or government pundits say we are going to place price controls on those things that we need, like fuel, gas, energy of any kind, food, things like that, that your time to prepare is running short. And to tell you the truth, I've been seeing more articles about price controls from the mainstream media. It tells me that eventually we will see price controls, ladies and gentlemen. And once you see that, what that means to me is scarcity and prices that are so high that people won't be able to afford to get the basics. And he continues to say that with food production buckling under the weight of runaway inflation, skyrocketing fuel costs, and fertilizer shortages, much of what's in store is already built in. It's just going to escalate from here on. Unfertile ground. In North America 2 years ago, it cost about $200 an acre to fertilize a 1,000 acre commercial farm. Right now, with spring planting, farmers can expect to pay $1,200 to $2,000 an acre. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a 600 to 1,000% increase in just one item. We're not talking about fuel to run the equipment. We're not talking about the seed that costs more as well. We're just talking about an increase in price from 600 to 1,000% in one item. And consumers will pay for it in higher prices for basic necessities. Many farmers are deciding not to plant. In addition, the diesel fuel prices and diesel fuel scarcity is going into their equation whether they should plant or not. Another thing that I talked about not too long ago is the price of propane. Most farmers in the U.S. use propane in order to dry their grain before they can put it out to market. And the price of propane has gone up so much that it has created a shortage as well, because farmers are only able to get what they need in increments instead of getting major loads like they used to load up a huge tank. Now they have to have more visits coming out because there is a shortage of propane in addition to the price going up. And here he continues to say that even before the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, the demand for survival food has gone up like exponentially. And I can affirm that, ladies and gentlemen. I talk to Becky and Eric from Nutrient Survival quite often. And every time I talk to them, they are just super busy. People are catching on. But the question is, are you catching on? And the thing that I see coming down the pike with survival food, you know, like your dehydrated or freeze-dried foods that last a long time on the shelf, is that eventually these manufacturers or producers of that food, they're going to have to ramp up their prices a lot. And I'm not talking about 5% or 10%. I'm talking about 20, 30, 50%. Because even though a lot of them have stocked up ahead of time, why? They're in the preparedness business, so they can also see what's coming down the pike, right? So they've been stocking up, making sure that they have 6, 9 months, a year's worth of raw supplies or raw product that they can turn into the finished product on hand. But eventually they're going to have to start purchasing new product to replace what they're using. And once that happens, ladies and gentlemen, those prices of long-term survival foods, I see them going up, like I said, 30, 40, 50% than what they are now. So if you haven't gotten that yet, I always recommend that people start with what they normally eat on an everyday basis and have a full year supply of that before they venture out to freeze-dried foods and third-party foods as far as survival foods go. But if you haven't ventured out into that yet and you're in that part of your life or your preparedness plan where you can afford to get that stuff, get it now, because I see prices going up and going up a lot. And he says that the supply chain in the United States continues to crumble. More Americans are realizing that it takes 4 trips to different home improvement stores to parts to make home repairs, instead of all of their needs being met in one. That is making folks realize this extends to everything: food, books, solar equipment. And considering that Ukraine is a source for critical raw materials in the solar industry, this is going to get much worse in the coming months. And I just did a video not too long ago where I showed you a payday prep where I purchased a whole bunch of car parts. Why is that? Ladies and gentlemen, 99% of the car parts that I purchased were made in China, Malaysia, I don't know, Israel. I mean, 99% were made outside of our borders here. Many of our customers are moving toward energy independence, and this is making a greater demand and diminishing supply situation. We are urging our customers to be prepared for 2 to 4 months and wait to amass all parts needed for their systems. And one of your systems is your vehicle. So if you want to make sure that your vehicle continues to run, maybe take a look at getting some spare parts that usually go bad on those vehicles. An example of some of the parts that I got were spark plug wires, ignition coils, alternators, things like that. He also says that price hikes are here to stay. Something I've mentioned previously is that inflation is not transitory. and that the word transitory is misinterpreted when it's spoken from the Federal Reserve or any kind of pundits in the mainstream media. Transitory only means that the rate of inflation is not going to continue to go up at the same rate, at the same pace, but that it will eventually level off and only go up at like whatever their target goal is, like 2%. But all of the inflation that has occurred is not going away. It's going to stay there. It's just going to slow. Unfortunately, I have to disagree with that transitory. I believe that inflation is going to continue to go up at an accelerated rate because they are still printing money and they are still abusing the system by which has really given the United States a step up, against all of the other countries in the world, and that is the Federal Reserve note. They've been abusing that system, so inflation is going to continue to go up, ladies and gentlemen. In recent weeks, YouTube survival preppers such as City Prepping and oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that they got my name in here, and myself, Alaska Prepper, have been sounding the alarm that hard times are just ahead. And Matt, the Magic Prepper, and look at this, they got a picture of Matt here, the Magic Prepper in North Dakota, said being prepared continues to go mainstream as a financial and scarcity genre in view of current global events. And ladies and gentlemen, listen to these preppers, especially to the Alaska Prepper. I actually know City Prepping, and I also know Matt as well from Magic Prepper. I'm just kidding around with that, but seriously, ladies and gentlemen, look, let me explain to you something really quick. And I know that I'm really going off here and coming back, but especially for the new subscribers, for the new community members, I want to allow you to understand that when I do these videos, I don't do them in a way where I talk at you. I like to talk with you. So right now, even though I'm staring into a camera, I'm making believe that there is a face on that other side of the camera and that I'm having a conversation with a person. All right. I don't want to talk at you. You are not a thing to me. You are a person on the other side of that screen. So I want to explain to you that these videos that we make, we don't necessarily make them. There are costs involved in running a YouTube channel. Absolutely. But we don't necessarily make them to become YouTube rich. Anyone that wants to become YouTube rich, all they have to do is go out there and make funny videos. Go make 2 or 3 minute videos that are funny, that people will find entertaining, and you'll get hundreds of thousands of views. Right? I'm lucky if I get, 10 to 20% views on my videos in relation or in regard to how many subscribers I have. All right. So it's not to be YouTube rich. It's because I honestly and truly do care about my country. And when I say that I care about my country, is I care about those who make up my country. All right. I care about my countrymen. And why? Because I love this country. That's why I put out these videos, because I love this country and I want everyone in this country and all over the world, but especially in my country, I want everyone to be prepared. That way, when the day comes that the government tells you, you have to do this or else you're not going to get any bread, you can say, well, I'm going to do whatever I want because I've already got the stuff that I need to make bread. I've already got the things that I need to feed my family, so that you don't have to go out there and beg an entity such as the government that cares not about you or your family or your family's fate. You don't have to go out there and beg them for something because you did not have the forethought or foresight to go out there and do it for yourselves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I do this video. I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing these videos because I love the interaction with you. The Alaska Prepper community. And I love the interaction with other prepper channels. Like, for example, had it not been for YouTube, I would have never been able to meet Matt. I've talked to Matt before. He's an awesome guy. I've met so many people through this that I am truly a beneficiary of this during this process. But I do it mainly because I love my country. And the better that a country is prepared, the better that its people will be off. And the more free that you will be. Preparedness is sovereignty. The better prepared you are, the more that you can preserve your sovereignty. And here Matt says that with food production issues, supply chain problems, a slow economic recovery from the health crisis, and the cascading effects on an overseas conflict, it seems rather clear that shortages, disruptions, and price hikes are here to stay. And ladies and gentlemen, obviously I'm skipping through this article. I'll leave the link to this article on a pinned comment of this video. But I'm skipping through it, all right? That way you can come back and revisit it if you like. But he continues to say that every dollar spent today is worth less in value toward preparedness than a dollar you would have spent 3 years ago. And that is 100% true, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, by waiting to begin, you will inherently be able to prepare less and less as time goes on. And I've stated that in the past, that the longer you wait to start to prepare, the more that it's going to cost you to prepare. However, do not let that deter you from starting to prepare, ladies and gentlemen, only because you know today that 2 years ago you could have gotten, $1,000 worth of food, right? And today, that same $1,000 worth of food is going to cost you 1,500. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare, right? Live and learn, right? But still prepare. I'll finish it off with this. Better now than never. It will begin about August and continue until the end of the year. A lot of this depends on the president's economic decisions on whether the U.S. allows U.S. oil companies to finish pipelines and do more drilling. If he does not, we are going to see even more shortages throughout 2023. And I would say that the president of the United States right now is not going to allow any more new drilling to go on. We used to be energy independent here in the United States a little over a year ago, and all of a sudden, now we're not, and that is going to hurt us in a big way, ladies and gentlemen. Out of chaos, however, Adams foresees a reawakening of freedom and self-reliance in the way that we can grow and produce food. He says, I think this is a red pill moment for the people of the world, that they need to be more self-reliant. We need decentralization of food production, and amen to that. We need decentralization of so many other things than just food production, ladies and gentlemen. With centralization, all right, there is less points of failure than with decentralization. And what do I mean by that? With a centralized system, let's say that our system of food disbursement, right, is centralized. There's only one entity in the country that takes care of that system, right? Because it's centralized. If something happens to that system, then the entire system of food distribution goes down, right? Let's say they were hacked. Let's say there's an energy crisis. Let's say they had a fire or whatever. Now, I know that our food distribution system is not centralized, but I'm just using this as an example, right? But if the food distribution system is decentralized, meaning there's a whole bunch of food distribution sites all over the country, and they each had their own systems of how they disperse the food in their region or their area, then if there's one point of failure in this region, then all of these other regions here, they can pitch in and help that region, vice versa. So the more decentralization there is, the less points of failure that will affect the whole system, ladies and gentlemen. So I agree with that 100%. The bad news is that only about 5% of the people in the United States are prepared. But the more people are prepared, the less they panic when shortages appear. And I agree with that as well. And I think we're turning the tide, ladies and gentlemen. As it said earlier in this article here, people are waking up. All right, people are waking up. And let me tell you something real quick about Mr. Adams. He used to have a YouTube channel that was very successful. And this gentleman here, he is a truth teller, ladies and gentlemen. And the things that he talks about, he, for the most part, I would say, because I don't watch him all the time. I believe he's on Brighton TV or Brighton.com. I don't watch him all the time, but he backs up what he says. All right. He's not just somebody out there saying stuff. He's a scientist. I mean, he's an educated scientist that has master's degrees, PhDs, all that kind of stuff. Right. And in my opinion, he is a good person. But, in an age of lies, telling the truth, I guess they say, is treasonous. Right. I think that's what I've heard. I've heard the quote said before, that in an age of lies, telling the truth is a treasonous act. So as you've seen, and as I've seen throughout the last couple of years, a lot of channels on YouTube and social media have been deplatformed. Why? Because the narrative that they are telling, and in this case, I believe he's telling the truth, or at least what he feels to be the truth, they get deplatformed because the narrative doesn't fit the narrative that that platform wants to put out. Ending it with that, ladies and gentlemen. I know this video went on a little bit long. Again, thank you very much to the new subscribers. Thank you very much. I truly do appreciate you all taking some of your time and spending a few minutes here with me today. I'm going to try to put out another video later on today to explain to you all why it is such a big deal that Russia has decided to pretty much back up their ruble with gold. Ladies and gentlemen, the implications that has is going to be incredible implications when it comes to the Federal Reserve note or the world reserve currency. Right? Having said that, have a great day. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that not everyone is in the part of their preparedness plan where they should be storing long-term freeze-dried food. But if you are, take a look at Nutrient Survival. I stand behind this food because it is the most nutrient-dense food in the market. It tastes great, they have outstanding customer service, and the company is run by great people that I call my friends. You're not going to find a more nutrient-dense food that tastes good and is reasonably priced when compared to other major brands. I wouldn't stand behind Nutrient Survival if I didn't personally use it and love it. So feed your freedom with Nutrient Survival.